You're welcome back. Time for business, and Emmanuel Abuajiriafe joins me in the studio. Good to see you.
Good to see you
after
too,
a while.
Yes.
It's Friday, but I'm sure there's a lot happening on the business front.
Yes.
So what are you bringing us?
Well, the top story is that yesterday we heard that government or the commercial court has frozen some critical accounts of government. These accounts are so special for government. These are the Treasury single account and the consolidated fund, where government actually does a lot of expenditure, transactions and revenue gathering.
So they have access to funding?
Yes, government has said that
well, that's good news.
That it still has access to those funds.
That's good news. So give us the details.
Thank you, and thanks for joining me on Business. Government says it still has access to 2 of its critical accounts, despite earlier reports they have been frozen. The Consolidated Fund and Treasury single accounts were said to have been frozen following the state's inability to settle a judgment debt of about 300 million Ghana cedis to non-bank financial institution NDK. This has led to concerns government might have some problems in paying salaries of public sector workers and meeting their commitments. But speaking with Joy Business, Deputy Finance Minister Mona Kwoti says government has not received any communication that the accounts have been frozen.
It's a court case between government and a private financial institution, and there was some judgment, but it has not been executed. As I speak now, government business is as usual, and we are using all our accounts that we need for operations. So we have not had any such impact, and there's no need for anyone to be concerned, because government will not just sit back and allow anyone to freeze its accounts. I don't want to go into the story of that judgment case. I think it's better if Attorney General speaks to that. But government will not sit down and allow any one person to decide what happens to the nation. You cannot hold the sovereign hostage. You cannot do that.
So the access to Treasury and then the consolidated account, you haven't access to that?
We have access to the Treasury single account and to our consolidated account, yes.
Aren't you flouting any?
We are not flouting anything, no. There's nothing to flout.
So what assurance do you have for public sector workers and people who might have been worried, whatever way this news has been told in the papers?
George, you can only flout what you know or what you've been told, so that you must keep to. We have not been informed about any such thing officially, that our accounts have been frozen and they're working. Therefore, I want to assure everyone who has concerns about this that there is no problem and nothing is at risk as at now. Even if that should come later, as a government, we always have a plan B. We always have a backup plan to resolve issues. We will not let anyone down.
Management of Omni Bank have set an ambitious target after the company successfully emerged from a savings and loans company to a universal bank on Thursday. The financial institution, whose market share is currently 0.4%, yesterday rolled out its 1-2-3 strategy. It's hoping to have 1 million customer accounts, be among second quartile banks, and eventually reaching 3 billion deposits by the year 2020.
Over the past 27 years, Omni Bank has evolved from a forex bureau to a savings and loans institution and now aiming to dominate the banking industry in the country. In 2013, a team of investors led by the Jospon Group took over the company, which was one of the oldest savings and loans institutions in the country and has since turned its fortunes around. The bank has now acquired a universal status, having met the 120 million Ghana cedi capital requirement by the Bank of Ghana. Managing Director Philip Timensa shared with guests at the official launch of the bank in Accra its ambitious target.
Now, in terms of our objectives, we call it the 1-2-3 strategy. 1, we want to reach 1 million customer accounts by 2020. We want to be in the second quartile of the banking industry by 2020. And the third one, we want to have 3 billion in deposits by 2020. I'm sure some of you are saying this is too ambitious, but I'm sure we'll get there with the help of God and a strong team.
The central bank governor, who was represented by head of banking supervision Raymond Amanfo, urged management to be tactful in its operations. Mr. Amanfo cautioned the central bank would crack the whip if the bank does not play by the rules.
It's just like you meet giants on the road. Some can back, they can bite, others bite while they come back. So as you embark on this journey, be mindful that your ambitions and goals do not drive you beyond tolerable limits. As a regulator, we'll watch you on the sideline, we'll support you, we'll encourage you, but we'll crack the whip when we need to crack it.
Also in attendance at the ceremony was the Chief of Staff, Julius Deborah. The launch of Omni Bank makes 32 the number of banks operating in the country currently. Management says it will still make SME banking a priority.
Chief Executive of Premium Motors Dealers, Chief Executive of Premium Motors Dealers in Renault Vehicles, Jihad Hizaji, is pushing for better regulation of petroleum products in the country. According to him, ensuring approved products are sold on the market would not only enhance the performance and lifespan of vehicles, but also help consumers make some savings on maintenance costs of their vehicles. There have been some concerns about the quality of fuel imported into the country following a global report that ranked Ghana as one of the countries with the most toxic diesels relative to standards in the EU and the USA. Speaking with Joy Business at the launch of its first ever pickup dubbed Oroch onto the Ghanaian market, Mr. Hijazi said the situation calls for urgent attention.
Obviously, you know, the fuel quality is a concern to us. Once again, we talk about regulation. Once again, this is an item or a product or an element of the market that needs to be highly regulated. Not only because of, what the consumer is paying for, but obviously the technology demands for it. These technologies are actually coming from nations where there is very high regulation on the quality of fuel. And the vehicles require those qualities of fuel. Mixing the fuel when it gets here with all types of things to adulterate it, I believe that's what the term they use, right? The adulteration of the fuel. It's really an unwise thing to do. Definitely, this is something else that we need to take a closer look at.
Now, cyber attacks on technology infrastructure of businesses and institutions are increasing as reliance on IT systems become inevitable. A research conducted by global non-profit cyber organization Cyber Green has ranked Ghana 9th on the Africa Cyber Cleanliness Chart. Statistics indicate that the low level of cybersecurity awareness by employees and general IT system users is said to be contributing to the cyber and data security breaches. As part of activities to mark the National Cybersecurity Week, stakeholders in the sector have advocated the need for a behavioral change in curbing the menace. Amele Josu was there and our reports.
Statistics indicate many businesses lag behind when it comes to deploying suitable cybersecurity solutions, considering the extent to which technology has been adopted to enhance businesses. Some cybersecurity experts have, however, attributed this to the lack of compliance and other behavioral attitudes. Information security consultant Columbus Bruce shared his thoughts in an interview with Joy Business.
If an employee clicks on an email that they're not supposed to, which looks, suspicious, okay? We would kind of expect that, okay, that the company has some anti-spam that will stop these mails, but that is not 100%. So definitely some mails will come through. So we would expect that the employee would have some level of, knowledge, understanding, and observance to policies not to click those emails. But, we have in some environment that, every email that comes, they are opening, and those are the dangers that, we kind of invite into. Most of the problems, we invite it, okay? In fact, as I mentioned, security is a social problem. It's not a technical problem. It's centered around behaviors of individuals, okay? All the technology that we have, it can all be used positively. But
that's all in business. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji. Enjoy your weekend.